Reverend Brearley.
Thank you. My son Owen would cringe at the thought of being the center of so much attention today. Although an excellent wordsmith, Owen would adhere to the unspoken football rule that words are used sparingly. In that ancient motif of oratory Athens versus warrior Sparta, today Owen would stand with Sparta. Today I speak only for myself, and I do not even speak as an expert on football, a sport about which I learned only when I came to the United States in 1982. Nevertheless, I have thought deeply about the cultural role that football plays in the United States. My first purpose is to put a human face on the disease called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. On April the 26th, 2010, my son Owen Thomas, age 21, a football player at the University of Pennsylvania in the Wharton School of Business, committed suicide on a dreary, rainy Monday afternoon. Friends and family were deeply shocked, as Owen seemed the most unlikely person to commit suicide. Subsequent detailed analysis of Owen's brain tissue revealed that he had the onset of CTE in the frontal part of his brain. Owen's untimely death generates a new set of questions to be addressed by CTE research. He had no known concussions at any time when playing soccer, basketball, baseball, or football. To our knowledge, Owen never used steroids or abused drugs or alcohol. He had no history of depression. We have no family history of depression or dementia. Owen never complained of headaches or acted strangely. The only explanation for the presence of CTE is that Owen started to play football at the age of 9. He was a very physical and intense player who threw himself into every sport he played. In pre-college football, he often played offense and defense and was on the field for much of the game. Maybe he had mild concussions that he never reported. Now that will be Owen anxious to return to the game, not a coach pressurizing him. Or maybe CTE is the cumulative effect of multiple subconcussions, compounded by some as yet unknown genetic component. We now know Owen, the recipient of his high school's Eisenhower Award for Leadership, faced an increasingly circumscribed future as his brain disease progressed. We would surely have loved and supported him no matter what the cost, but the bright future to which he aspired would have eluded him. Since learning that Owen suffered from CTE, I have become more aware of the many facets of this problem and the immense human sorrow that lies behind the loss of young lives. In the bitterness of grief, it is hard not to be angry that the Philadelphia Medical Examiner did not preserve Owen's brain as a complete entity, or ask me if I wanted it kept separate in case it was needed for research. Clearly, changes are needed in the medical community as well as the sports community. We have to consider that if only 1% of students who play contact sports starting at a young age, if only 1% of those students have CTE, that will be a large public health cost to this nation, which is a concern for all of us. I know that high schools that are concerned about their budgets surely do not want to have lawsuits associated with this, and parents and coaches also are anxious for their youth to be safe in school sports. Congress, this is a very widespread problem, and I appreciate the interest of Congress in this, and I think that Congress can use their goodwill, their good offices, to promote widespread discussion of this very difficult situation. When we think about football, I think it's important for us to think that many of these, that football is not a sport in which most people put out their emotions for people to see. If we think about Steelers coach Bill Cowher, he was an unusual person to put out his demonstrative, terrible towel, jutting out jaw drama on the sidelines. Much more common is that stoic, taciturn demeanor of the late Tom Landry. And so football is not a sport in which most players or coaches bring forth their emotions. Nevertheless, those emotions are very intense and should not be dismissed. So I think we come back to this ancient motif of what it means for people to be like Spartan. It does not mean that they're ignorant or stupid. It does not mean they don't have strong feelings. Thank you.